Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Next Best Thing Studios. My name is Jay.
And my name's Tujin.
And today we're doing a video that is not something that we really want to do, and it's going to be a negative review. So if you're not a fan of negative reviews, please exit now. So a lot of you guys have been asking about the Musician Pegasus Dac. This is it. We get to keep this. They offered us to keep the unit before the review, and so that's a disclaimer that we have to put out. Now, we wouldn't be doing this video if the manufacturer actually gave us proper communication and any reason to not post this review. But there were multiple wrong things going on in the back end, which we will report to you guys. And so this is just kind of a warning. We're not saying that you shouldn't buy the Pegasus Dac or whatnot. Your experience may vary, your mileage may vary.
Just use your own discretion after watching.
Yeah, but this is the information that we've gathered, and it was just a nightmare to deal with. So I'll start with my experience, and then you can go with your experience, which is a little bit more traumatizing. Yeah. So I used USB with my Zen Mini Mark III for my part of the review, and I decided to lend it to Tujin. Now, before that, when they sent the unit to me, and it looked very similar to the Denafrips Ares 2 DAC. So I asked them about the Denafrips DAC, and they flat out told me to not compare it to the Denafrips. Now, we don't do censorship in our videos, or for matter of fact, I don't think any reviewers want to be told what to not say or say. And the whole reason I got this DAC in is because a lot of you guys have been asking me how does it compare to the Denafrips Venice. And the reason being is that the precision level of this R2R DAC is similar to that of the Venice, and a lot of the reviewers and people out there that bought the Pegasus DAC have been comparing it to the Venice. On paper, it looks better than the Venice, and let me tell you that it doesn't even get close, and in my opinion, it doesn't even compete with the Ares 2. Ares 2 to me is a more airy DAC, and is a more high resolution DAC in my opinion. Now this does have more bass, it does, but it sounds artificial to me, at least in my system, and the sound staging is weird. At first it sounds kind of holographic and really wide, but there's stuff missing and sucked out in between in your music as you progress through your music library. And the top end, you'll notice, is kind of rolled off. Not too much, it's not like cut off, but it is a little bit dull on the top end. So in that kind of way, if you like that kind of sound, then sure, it does give you that kind of wow factor, and but in no way does it, in my opinion, compete with the Denafrips DACs. And again, I was told not to compare it with the Denafrips DACs, which I said no, but I also gave them a benefit of doubt, which a lot of reviewers won't do. So I asked them, why? Give me a reason, and they again didn't give me a valid reason. They just told me the same thing over and over again. Please don't review it. We really don't want to be review it. Compare it. Yeah, don't compare it, And I told them to take it back. They never respond when I asked them to take it back. And so I thought, okay, you know what? The precision level of the R2R DAC is similar to the Venice. It's an interesting DAC, and it needs to be reviewed on its own right. It sounds okay, right? Mm-hmm. And just like how I would review other DACs that sound okay, the Topping D90 I thought was okay. Mm-hmm. Did I think it was better than the Ares 2? No, but I still reviewed it because I thought it was a neutral DAC, and for people that are looking for neutrality, that DAC was something they may consider. So for some people that were looking for a little bit more rolled off presentation and whatever I just described here, I was going to review it that way. And then I lent it to Tujin, and this happened.
Okay, so just a little background. I normally use a Shitgun multi-bit, and I like the sound of it. So when Jay gave me the opportunity to just take it home and try it out, I was very excited, as any enthusiast would be. So I normally use an optical connection to my computer, and that's where things get a bit rough. So to get the full bandwidth of the optical connection, I would set the resolution to 24-bit. And this is where things started getting weird. I listen to music, I watch movies, I do a little bit of gaming, I do all of that, and my DAC is what decodes all that. And when I'm doing anything load intensive or my computer is being used, I found that the left and right channel would swap all of a sudden. And it was very confusing. I would go back to the DAC, swap cables, and it would still be swapped. So I'd swap it back, double check everything. And when I first turn on the DAC or my computer, it would be fine. But then after a couple minutes, it will just start swapping left and right. And I realized that only happens at 24-bit audio. When I set it to 16, it's fine. It's not as weird or random. So we sent them an email asking, hey, we're getting, the left and right channel getting inversed, that with optical, we're having some issues. Is there anything you can tell us or anything that we're doing wrong that you can clarify for us? And their response was unsatisfactory, to say the least.
Well, they sent us a series of graph of testing a DAC that's actually in working condition, which is not our DAC.
Yeah.
It's not like they tested every single DAC before they send it out. It was a DAC that they measured and they have it already prepared. And it was almost like a robotic kind of response. Here's graph. It's not possible.
Yeah, so it's
all working.
They basically just told me that I was wrong.
That it's not possible.
Yeah, it's not possible.
But it was clearly happening. So I asked them.
It was something that was easily repeatable. Like it wasn't just a one-time thing.
Yeah, and it was clearly happening. So I sent them an email, follow-up email, asking them, well, it's clearly happening. So what's your solution? And they have no solution. They repeat the same thing over and over again. So I did some digging. And some people have been having similar issues and sometimes more excessive issues where the XLR output is less than the RCA output. And when they send an email to this manufacturer, the musician, their response is, again, the same thing, a graph. So basically, to put it simply, far as we can tell and from what we've gathered, you don't get warranty with this company. Unless they change something, then fine. But so far, they have done nothing to give us a reason that they actually warrant their warranty.
Now, I didn't just stop after that. Obviously, at 16-bit, it works fine. And then with USB, I had no real issues. So obviously, sound-wise, it's like an R2R DAC. Kind of takes the digital edge out of music, which I like. That's why I choose an R2R DAC in my system. As Jay said, it's very wide, especially with the headphones I was using, the Final Audio D8000s. But I found little gaps of air in between, like the mids, and then there's details really at the end, but then there'd just be these little gaps, and I'd be like, this is weird. It almost made me feel like my D8000s were, something was up on my headphones until I tried a different source and they sounded completely fine. So it is a bit weird. It's a bit rolled off at the top end, but this is what really got me. So I went back.
Before you say that, though, I experienced the same thing with my speaker setup, like I explained before. And let me just put a disclaimer here. It could be that this unit is entirely faulty.
Yeah, it could be.
Okay, because the optical is clearly not working as it should. And the USB, God knows if the sound coming out of that is as it should. So just take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
This is just our experience.
This is what we heard
from the faulty unit that we have.
So after verifying that the USB sounds fine, I prefer optical just because I get less hum or ground loops or any of that kind of sort from my computer and all the electronics in my room. It's just something I just have to deal with, especially in that particular setup. So I went back to optical, and in the middle of the night, all I heard was 10 seconds of violent distortion that made me take off my headphones immediately. And the only way to stop it was to turn off the DAC. And I immediately called you and told you what happened, and it scared me. And I had to cross my fingers because I thought my headphones could have been damaged.
And those are expensive headphones.
And those were very expensive headphones. I was terrified, and I was so glad that I was using my headphones and not my speakers, because that would have woke up
your entire
family, and maybe even my neighbors.
Yeah. So yeah, despite all this experience, and my honest take is this: usually, and this is true, just kind of being as transparent as possible here, but as you guys can probably imagine, manufacturers take better care of reviewers than customers. And that's just natural because we are publication, we are marketing for them, for the mass.
Yep.
So given that, if they treat reviewers with "you're dumb, here's a graph, this doesn't happen,"
Yeah.
It happened, but no, it doesn't happen, right? That kind of attitude, then I don't know what you will be getting.
Yeah, it just comes off shady
as customers.
Yeah.
So all I'm gonna say is this: if you buy this DAC, if it works, great. If it sounds great to you, great. But you're probably not gonna get warranty with this unit.
Use your own discretion.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to say. In my opinion, it's a good DAC. Does it beat the Denafrips Ares 2? No, I don't think so. I think it's just a different sound. And if preference-wise, Ares 2 is my go-to. And just to add a little bit of side thing here, you can exit the video now if you got bored. All the information is out.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of these units have been failing, including Z Reviews had one that failed on him, I believe.
He had issues with it.
And there are a lot of the forum people have been reporting issues, yet they get positive reviews. Now, I don't want to speculate anything, but like we said, we were offered to keep it. Just saying. It's a heavy DAC. It's pretty good. Chunky. So the other thing is that my problem is that I've lost trust as a customer and a reviewer. I personally lost my faith in this company, my trust in this company. So whatever they list there in terms of specifications and precision of the R2R DAC, can you trust it? That's my personal internal conflict, right? I personally can't trust it.
I mean, I've never had a DAC swap left and right channels unless it's user error. Yeah. And the distortion thing was just very terrifying, to say the least.
Yeah. So, again, we're just rambling here. So if you didn't exit the video, it's your fault. But, but yeah, in my opinion, I think that this was just an unfortunate circumstance. And I don't think that this has to be looked at, because I know some people are going to be like, oh, it's because it's from China, right? Because they're a Chinese company.
Mm-hmm.
Denafrips is from Chinese, okay? But it's distributed worldwide by a Singapore company. And the guy who's taking care of that company, Alvin, he does a great job of customer service, warranty, and all that stuff, all the back-end work. And I have heard great things about him from customers and, just reviewers in general. He's very quick to respond, very easy to work with, friendly guy. And so when you have people like that behind a company, it works out. And for China Hi-Fi, again, that company had its issues, but currently they've sent us an email saying that they've hired people to adjust for the market. So what ended up happening with China Hi-Fi, and again, this is sidetracking, so if you didn't exit the video, it's your fault. They had a problem where they had a lot of customers coming to them from the US based off Sean's review, my review, Thomas' review, Steve Guttenberg and all these reviewers reviewing the China Hi-Fi stuff because it's so good for the money.
Yeah.
And people started buying it and they didn't expect.
They just weren't able to keep up with the demand.
Because it was one man running the entire show. Young,
That's
right?
crazy.
Great guy, but it was overwhelming for him. So he got someone to work with him to do the customer service, send out units, and so he has a helping hand. And things are going a lot faster from what I hear now.
Yeah, he just created a team.
Yeah, so that basically is their situation. So again, it's not because it's from China. It's not because it's a Chinese company specifically. A lot of Chinese companies are doing a great job into fulfilling orders and not being sketchy.
I think it's a lot more reputable than what it used to be.
Yeah.
And
a lot of companies like SMSL, Topping, coming up with, really good DACs and, for the money, like I said, it's the best time to be in terms of that kind of category.
Yeah.
But again, sometimes unfortunate things happen and this just happened to be a Chinese company. So I just want to put that out there for anyone that, people are still going to complain. It doesn't change that fact, but People are still gonna say, "Oh, it's because it's a Chinese company. This will never happen with the UK or Germany or whatever." Yeah, it does happen. We've had issues, but anyways, never to this extent where the communication was just absolute garbage.
Yeah.
And just yeah. So this is for your own discretion. Again, your mileage and your experience may vary. You may have the DAC sound really great, perfectly fine, you're happy, then there's no need for you to be even at the stage of this video. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
See ya.